this teacher in Oklahoma may lose his job for saying this truth. Hey, listen up.
There is a lie central to American slavery, a lie that the slavers told themselves. There is no doubt that their lifestyles were opulent, that their clothes were the finest, that their wives were adorned in the newest pearls, the flashiest gemstones, that in the summers they could vacation to Europe and travel and see the world, that there is an opulence that appears genuine on the outside, but once you scratch it just a bit, you realize why the South was willing to burn the entire country down to keep their slavery. It's all rotten. It's rust underneath the gilding. That once you take that top layer of paint off, there's nothing in it but a hollow soullessness. And that hollow soullessness is reflected in the way that a planter's wife looks overlong at any slave with lighter skin than his mother and wonders, is my husband the father of that child? It is in the way that the head of the household, supposedly this moral paragon, who spends all his time abusing his female slaves in one way and beating his male slaves in another, that when he leaves the home, he too is paranoid that his wife is finding satisfaction with someone that isn't him. It's fear, rank fear, that the poor whites in the community would one day realize that the reason they are impoverished is that all of the unskilled labor, and by the 1850s, a large portion of the skilled labor, is being done by those who are owned instead of those who are free. That rather than compete with their peers of multiple ethnic backgrounds for jobs and their merit would guide them, instead, that poor white man must understand that his job must be sacrificed on the altar of slavery, and if he figures that out, he might set the system on fire. It is the understanding, persistent above all others, that there is no liquid cash to spend. There is wealth, plentiful wealth, but that wealth is tied up in land, in human bodies, in the manor, in the tools, in the cotton, but not tied up in money. And so the liquid cash, the capital that these planters would spend on their lavish vacations, fine suits, and the best cigars, are taken out on loans, asset-backed loans, where their house is the collateral, where their slaves are the collateral, where their land is the collateral. That if the system changes, or God forbid, the system ends, their wealth and prominence dies with it. And so they concoct lies. First, lies that they tell themselves, that of course that child with lighter skin doesn't look like my husband, even when he does. Of course my wife, who looks overlong at one of the house servants, doesn't mean anything by that, because she can't. Of course the white men in my employ love me, respect me, value me, because they must. Of course the slaves are happy here and wouldn't rip us apart if given the opportunity for all the pain we visited on them, because they must be. And so when it is Abraham Lincoln who ascends to the presidency, he is the tyrant for the South. He is here to steal your property and take your business and your home, not because he is, but because he must be. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you did, hit the button so the algorithm brings you back. See you next time. There is a lie central to American slavery.
Okay, if you watch this video, you're going to see this man explain a slavery lie that was perpetuated in American history classes. If you go to the comments, you will see where I posted a comment that said Oklahoma will take your teaching license for this. Now, if you also look at the likes on the comment, we're at 1,600 and counting. So I have now apparently gotten into 2 heated discussions. One person of brown complected descent, another person whose ancestors were on the receiving end of slavery. Now, the brown complected person tried to tell me that my comment lacked context. Everybody else in the comment feed, except for that person, and now the person whose ancestors were on the receiving end. So now I got 2 of you. And the people in another comment feed about Oklahoma's education system and what that lesson would do. Nobody needed context. Everybody understood what is going on in the Oklahoma education system. They are trying to completely whitewash it and wipe it away. When I made the comment, Oklahoma would have your teaching license, apparently it furrowed some ancestors that were on the receiving end, because now somebody's trying to say that it ruffled my white privilege. Last time I checked, this is not exactly the island of the Caucasus. Granted, 23andMe would have you thinking a little different. But believe me, I don't, one, claim the island of the Caucasus. Two, racist, no. More along the lines of equal opportunity offender, because if you're white, I'm gonna call you out on it because you should fucking know better in the first place. And then if you're any other, bright Crayola box color, do you, boo-boo? Like, you do you. So for the ancestors whose feathers got ruffled, I do apologize for you not understanding the context of the Oklahoma education system. Two, everybody who's anybody knows what the hell's going on in the Oklahoma education system. Everybody knows the Nazi Ryan Walters that's in charge is trying to make Germany great again here in the great state of Oklahoma, and we're just not handling it very well, and we're not taking it in stride. So I need the ancestors to sit down for a second and get some context, because I'm about tired of this. I done already told one lady to get off Trump's left nut. I'm not going to tell this other lady to get off Trump's left nut because she's trying to argue that it has something to do with my white privilege. Honey, I don't have white privilege. Never have, never will. One, they don't view me as white. And two, I'm a woman. Women in the white community or the island of the Caucasus, we don't get privilege. We're treated just like anybody else. We are second-rate citizens to a white man. I need y'all to get that under the thickness of your skull. Do with my information what you will, and have the day and the life that you deserve.
Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope that you're doing fine wherever you are today. This is Eugene Docu Stories as usual. I have something to say about this. Now, there is an important aspect, or there's an important point that the professor have made, and he made it that the superficial look of the slavers or the slave owners, their life looked so opulent, their lives looked so perfect, and everything was just cool, and that's what we know, right? But I think the main message that I'm getting out of everything you see here is like the main message is there is power in the laborers, there is power in the slaves, because they are the ones who have the skilled labor. Now, when everyone now just decided that, taking you back during those days, now when everyone just decided that no, we are not going to be working, we are standing, we are going to be fighting for ourselves, this is what we're going to be doing, all the slavers will have been effed up. Trust me when I say so, because this shows you how it is not that much special, it is not that much important that the slavers were. And the professor goes on and says a dirty secret that happened in the household of the laborers, slavers, and their masters. Most of the children who their masters had were not their own biological children. That's according to my understanding, So even in these households, we had people who had children who were not theirs because of the master mentality the boss mentality that these people had, even to their wives. So the only person, when the master left, now this is my understanding, when the master left, who were they left with? They were left with these laborers. So what happened, because they were not hospitable, they were not understanding. On the contrary, the slave who worked in these households, they were so soft, they were so kind. That's what they were. So according to human nature, they went where they felt like it's easier for them to be understood. It's easier for them because they felt like they are resonating with the slaves because they are not being hired out. what they want is not being done. And these masters also took them as their servants because they satisfied everything that they wanted, be it sexual, be it name it all, all the responsibility. But even themselves, they were not being heard. But that's not important point that I want to talk about. The most important thing that I want to talk about in this video is like you get to know that the power is in you as the person, in your country where you are. Imagine the elites who are controlling us, they are few people, but the only power that they have, now this is the contemporary society, the only power that they have is the resources. They have technocrats, of which majority of the technocrats are these working class people. They are the ones who are being paid peanuts to continue working to them. Reflectively, this is the same thing which was happening to slaves and slave owners. So the slave owners might have looked so perfect, so opulent, so rich. They flourish and they show that type of life, something that they want you to know, but the grass ain't green on the other side because their wife didn't give them the kids, biological kids, to there is power that they didn't have, which was in the slaves. The only problem is that the slaves didn't know that they had this power. This is a part of history which is so critical, and I find it so fascinating because this is not being taught in school. I've never had, as a black person in Africa, this being taught in school. As a student who have studied African American sociology, trust me, I've never had this part of history. And it is important that we are getting to see this truth. We are getting to see how things really unravel. And this is an important part of history that the schools will not teach you. Most probably, I heard that the teacher is in Oklahoma. Maybe, just maybe, he might be sacked because of saying this truth. As you know, those are my 2 cents. It was just I've understood what the teacher was trying to say and what I could say most generally. And I agree with everything he says because it makes sense. It goes in line with the human nature, right? So these are Presenter Jindoki Stories. And if you're watching this video for the first time, I'll most definitely ask you to subscribe to my channel, join my membership, really get to see what I can offer you. I hope that you'll love what you'll see. You'll learn. I have educative videos. I have thought-provoking videos that if you get time to watch them, they'll give you a different perspective of what you think. Until then, these are Presenter Jindoki Stories. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.